you're everything.
I'm so excited about this week's topic because I love talking about my wedding in particular, and I'm going to use it for a lot of examples because the only other wedding that I've really been to other than my own was my aunt's wedding when I was like a junior bridesmaid, and I was probably 8. So, yay, I like to talk about weddings. I think they're a lot of fun. Anyway, so I guess we're talking about if we think it's appropriate to have pagan traditions in traditional Christian weddings and vice versa, and whatever the heck you want to say. I think, why the heck not? It's totally up to you what you do with your wedding. My wedding was a little bit crazy. It was, had traditional quote-unquote Christian aspects in it, and then it had not so very Christian aspects in it. To give you more detail, it technically had 2 weddings. The first one was March 26th, 2007, which was a courthouse marriage to my husband after he proposed to me the Christmas just prior to it. A lot of military folk tend to do that to help with paperwork and whatnot. Getting married, especially 2 military people marrying each other, is a pain in the butt when it comes to the military with keeping track of it and money and all this other nonsense. So we decided that we were going to do all of that well before the actual wedding. We didn't exchange rings. I didn't change my last name. None of that stuff. It was just a very informal whatever. The only people that were there were our 2 witnesses, and that was it. But our real wedding was back home in Chicago. It was July 20th of 2008, and it was an outdoor wedding. We did it at a place called Cantigny, which is a military museum out near where I live. It was gorgeous outside. It was super, super hot. If you've ever been out in the Midwest in July, August, you know how hot it can really get out there. Yeah, we were melting, but it was a great ceremony, and I loved it. And just the pictures that you saw, at the beginning of the video, it was really great. And there were a lot of aspects in my wedding that were very personal. It was a small, only like 70 people showed up. Everything was pretty much either handmade or bought from someone who handmade it or whatever. A lot of it was, not all of it, but the majority of it was. I really wanted to have a lot of personal aspects in my wedding. My mother sang, which I always knew that she was going to sing at my wedding. I did my vows in German, actually. My mother did her vows in German when she got married, and I remember seeing her do that in her wedding video and thinking, I want to do that too, and kind of like start, a little tradition for the women in my family to say our vows in German. And but I did my vows in German. My husband said exactly what I said, just in English. Even our reception was very personal. Our prayer, dinner prayer, whatever you want to say, wasn't very much a prayer. It was, we sang the Navy and Marine Corps verses of Eternal Father. Eternal Father, strong to save, whose arm hath bound the restless wave, who bist the mighty ocean deep, its own appointed limits keep. O hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea. Eternal Father, grant we pray to all Marines, both night and day, the courage, honor, strength, and skill, their land to serve, thy law fulfill. Be thou the shield forevermore, from every peril to the core. I wanted to do it. There was a specific Marine that I had invited to the wedding who I considered to be my big brother. And he wasn't able to make it because he was deploying, and I wanted to do Eternal Father just kind of as a little remembrance for him. However, and you'll find this with a lot of weddings, everyone's always has something to say about somebody else's wedding. don't tell anyone, but the majority of the people complaining at my wedding were from my husband's side of the family. Anyway, but I mean, people were complaining at my wedding about how the ceremony was too long and that my mother should have sang at the reception, not the ceremony. And people were mad that that I didn't, after I said my wedding vows. This really made me angry. People were mad that after I said my wedding vows, which again were in German, that I didn't translate them. But if people were paying attention, my husband's vows was basically the translation. Whatever. Basically, what I have to say about pagan ceremonies and Christian ceremonies and putting them together and keeping them apart and all that stuff is do whatever the hell you want to do with your wedding. Don't be that person where you know, down the road, you're going to sit there looking through your wedding album or watching your video and being like, man, I should have worn a red dress. I wanted to wear a red dress. Or I really wanted to do the hand fasting, or I wanted to jump over the broom, or I wanted to smash a glass, or whatever the heck. I didn't want to do a prayer. I didn't want to do this, or I did want to do that. You don't want to be that person that wishes you could redo your wedding. I wouldn't redo my wedding. For all the mistakes that happened that day and everything that I thought were hilarious looking back at them now, I would not change a single thing. And you know what? If your family is uncomfortable with that, they'll have to deal. If your family loves you, they're going to want to be at your wedding, no matter what. And if they don't want to be at your wedding simply because you're doing a pagan ceremony or you're incorporating it into a Christian, quote unquote, what most people consider a Christian ceremony, then they don't have to be at your wedding. That's what I think. I mean, your parents, your family should love you enough not to care. Your family should love you enough where they just want to be there for you on your special day. If you're really that concerned about it, I would say twist things around and tell people that, turn them into Christian things if you have to. One thing I was considering doing for my wedding that I didn't actually end up doing was a butterfly release. The only reason why we didn't do it was money, but it would have been really fun to do it. But a lot of, I did some research on it. I've always loved the idea of releasing butterflies at the wedding or birds or something. And when I did research on it, I found that it is a Native American belief that if you catch a butterfly and you whisper to it a secret or a wish or whatever, it will, first off, if it's a secret, the butterfly will keep it because the butterfly can't tell anyone. If it's a wish, it's supposed to be granted when you release the butterfly as a thank you from spirit for releasing the butterfly. And I thought that was a cool idea to just kind of give each guest a butterfly, and you could whisper a wish for the couple to the butterfly, or and then all these butterflies would be released, and just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. If my parents would have really been concerned about what that was or where it came from, you could take something like that and simply say, oh, you're just supposed to whisper your prayer to the butterfly and it will take it to the angels. You can twist anything to meet Christian needs if need be. If people are really concerned about or uncomfortable about it. You know, I apologize that the video is so firm and not as lighthearted as I originally intended for it to be, but it's just, who cares what anyone else thinks about your wedding? It's yours. Now that I'm pagan, would I go back and change any of my ceremony to fit more into my practices now? I don't think I would. In fact, I know I wouldn't. For those of you who aren't married, I'd love to hear what you would like to have in your wedding or what you would like to do in your wedding. And if you are already married, what is something that you did in your wedding that isn't usually looked at as being traditional? Like I did my vows in German. I did a rose ceremony instead of like the sand or the candles or whatever. And I will see you guys next week. Bright and happy blessings.